dripping in sweat. My pink salmon shirt is now turning Barbie pink. I just ran across hundreds and hundreds of people for 15 minutes. And I am finally catching my breath. Because I am in my favorite place in the whole world. It's this super narrow hallway. It's kind of claustrophobic. The AC is like blasting on you. And it feels like there's stuff that are about to land on you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board with Ethiopian Airlines from Paris to Addis Ababa. This is your captain wishing you a wonderful flight. There's something about those planes. Airports, that in-betweener space is magical for me. There's something about it where I just feel like I can be myself. I get to fumble over my words, speak Danish, French, Spanish, mix them together, be confused. It's beautiful. I get to shift in between my identities. I am going to Comoros, a country in the Indian Ocean, northwest of Madagascar. I haven't been since my dad passed. I haven't been for a decade. I am nervous, and I am so excited. I look in the plane, and there's these like hats everywhere. This kofia, this religious Muslim hat. And as I listen in the plane, in all the corners, I hear Comorian. So much Comorian. So many people. Never have I experienced that. And then there's French. And then there's some English and some Amharic. I look at my phone, boarding pass, and my seat says 14L. Sky time. Window seat. My favorite seat. So I go to my aisle, and I see two people. There's one white woman sitting at the aisle. Maybe she's French. And then there's another woman, a black woman, wearing a headscarf. She's sitting at the window seat. My seat. I hesitate. I'm like, ooh, do I say something? Do I sit in the middle, in the in-betweener seat? No. And so I'm trying to figure it out, and I find my words. I'm like, what language should I speak here? And I take a shot. Excusez-moi, madame, je pense que vous êtes assise sur mon siège. Excuse me, ma'am, I think you're seated on my seat. And the look on her face, like, really? You're gonna make me move all my shit right now? Really? That's what the eyes are saying. And I'm like, yes. And so I sit. I am now at my window seat, and I take my headscarf, the one that I plan on wearing when I land in Comoros, and instead of putting it over my head, where it maybe belongs, I put it all over my body, and I just hide. And I'm like, maybe she's not going to smell my sweat, and hopefully she's not mad at me. We take off, and I hear her say something. I'm like, is that to me? T'as de la Doliprane? She's talking to her son. Her son is sitting behind. She has a headache, and she needs medication. But her son does not have medication, but who has medication? And so I take off my scarf, and I am like, you know the emoji with the stars? I'm like, ding! And I'm like, this is my moment. And so I look at her, and I was like, do you need medication? And she's like, uh-huh. So I gave it to her, and then I say, vous êtes Comorienne? Are you Comorian? She nods. Moi aussi, me too. And the look on her face. Absolute confusion. Like assumption 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 about this woman, not matching. She's like, are you sure? Yeah, I am I'm sure. We then go on and talk about our families and where in Comoros we're from. Kinship is formed right in that moment. So I go back to sleep. I lean my head against my dear window, and I notice this tension in my body. I notice this one side, I have this relief. I'm like, she got me. She understands me. And then there's this other part. It's like this super familiar pain, this feeling of like, I'm not good enough. Oh, I have to prove myself. I'm not Comorian enough. And so I look to resource myself, and I look out to the sky. There's something about that sky. There's something that's so beautifully resourcing and comforting. It's so vast, and it offers so much perspective. And so in that moment, I see the clouds. And I don't know, there's something about those clouds that remind me of this wise man with this beard, this long, long beard. His name is Ahmed. Ahmed is a character with a charisma. He has a way of like everyone is just going to gather around him. People want to be close to him, and people want to learn from him. So he's kind of like a teacher, but the classroom is really not his thing. His classroom is called RFI, Radio France Internationale, the international French radio that 30 million Africans listen to avidly. And he, Ahmed, listens to it day and night and during sleep. This man, he is my petit papa, my little dad. Growing up mixed-raced in Denmark, I felt like I was wrong. I felt like I owed an apology to the Danes of how I looked. To the Danes, the white, tall, blonde, blue-eyed Danes. I needed to explain who I was. So one day, I finish school, so I'm like this, 7 years old, little Nora, shy, very shy. And I get out of school, and I'm waiting for my dad to come and pick me up. And then there's this white Dane, Sven, and Sven, he comes over to me, and Sven is like, hvor er du fra? Where are you from? And little Nora is like, ja, men jeg er halv dansker, og jeg er halv komorianer. I'm half Danish and half Comorian. And I don't know how this happens. But suddenly, the man shows up, my dad. Brrrp. He does not speak a word of Danish. Kartofler, potatoes, his favorite thing, so not, is the only Danish word he might know. But somehow this he understood. And he was angry. The vein is popping. He's like, no, no, no. And his jaw is tight. And here's the moment. He says to me, Nora, ton corps n'est pas coupé en deux. Nora, your body is not cut in half. And I'm like, duh, I know that. He then goes on and says, Nora, tu es entièrement comorienne. Tu es entièrement danoise. You are fully Danish, and you are fully Comorian. And those wise words stayed with me. They stayed with me for a long time. Sometimes I didn't really know what it meant. But today I understand. What he said was, do not try to fit in. Do not. You are whole as you are. You do not get to split your identities and your parts. They are beautiful as they are. And so I coined this term that encompasses all of the parts. All of the beautiful parts get to coexist in this term that's ambiguous but beautiful and vast like the sky. The term in-betweener. My name is Nora Alwah. I'm a psychotherapist, a coach, and a mental health educator. I'm a woman of color, I'm queer, I'm an immigrant, I'm a daughter of immigrant, and I'm a recent U.S. citizen. 11 years it took. Yes. And to me, it is so important that we have language. An in-betweener is someone who is at the intersection of multiple identities. We often feel like we are too much or not enough. We split ourselves. We feel misunderstood constantly. There's this experience of where we feel like we don't belong here and we don't belong there, and it's so damn confusing. We don't know what to do about ourselves. And so we try to do this thing where we just like mold and shapeshift into whatever people think that we should be. It hurts. It really hurts to be a chameleon day in and day out. And what hurts me, as I see myself and other in-betweeners do this, is how we miss seeing the beautiful richness of us. We have incredible superpowers. Just like the plane, we're like birds. We are able to move between so many different perspectives, so many levels. We see things other people don't see. There's something so beautifully unique about that. So we have these 3 superpowers. The first one is that we are so adaptable. We are so adaptable. We're able to actually be able to see things. The second one is we're so resourceful. There's a way that with very little we can turn it into gold. And then when you experience a lot of pain, you develop deep empathy. I'm so grateful for my petit papa. Thanks to my papa, I coined this term. It is June of 2023. I am in London, Gatwick. The flight from London to Copenhagen has now been canceled. We are now rebooked on another flight. 6 hours pass by, and I am livid. I am pissed. I am so mad. But I'm not mad because I have to wait 6 hours. Remember, we're in airports, like airports. I am mad. And so I call min mor, min kære mor, min danske mor, my mom. Hi, mor. But no, there was no hi, mor. There was no, how are you doing, mor? No, 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 no. It was like this. Jeg hader dit lorteland. Translation, I hate your fucking country. I hate your fucking country. Not the first time she hears her dear daughter be mad. And so, in that moment, I tell her the story. So, I have spent about 30 minutes, over 30 minutes, with this family, a couple and their daughter, 70s and 50s. And in that moment, I help them out because they don't know how to rebook their flight. They have a travel agency. They don't know how to use the app. So I'm trying to help them out. So I'm talking to them. They're white Danes, talking to them in Danish. Boop, bop, boop, bop, boop, boop. And then what happens? Boop. English. Did they just speak to me in English? Yes, they did. And so what did I do? Grace. Grace. You know, it just happened. That's okay. And then it happens again. At the time, the most inappropriate time. They start speaking to me in English as I am speaking in Danish. I am livid. And so I'm on the phone with my mom and I tell her. And in that moment, I'm mad, but then suddenly I start bracing. I'm like, oh damn, what is she gonna say? I just said I hate her country, and then I went on. Is she going to say, well, Nora, it's because, you know, they probably are in London, so they just are thinking in English. Or Nora, you know, maybe they're just very tired because 6 hours is a long time. Or because this or that or this. And I start fearing. And she says, ej, Nora, det er jeg virkelig ked af at høre. Selvfølgelig gør det ondt. Selvfølgelig er du ked af det. Altså os danskere, vi er så lukket. I am so sorry, honey. Of course you hurt. Us Danes, we are so close-minded. In that moment, I healed. In that moment, I felt seen. I didn't have to explain myself. Tak, mor. Thank you, Mom. I am sitting on a stoop, a beautiful, quintessential brownstone, just last Thursday, 7 days ago, at my friend's stoop. And I'm sitting there, and I am sweating. Because Nora has been biking around Brooklyn before the bike got stolen. She was biking around Brooklyn. And I went in Bed-Stuy, going over there, going over there, going over there, because I'm looking for a home. I have lived in Colorado for 11 years, and it is time to change home. And so I am sitting there trying to find my home. And I'm feeling a little lost. I'm like, what should I do? I'm feeling like New York City is getting a little hard, and I'm feeling into despair. And so I look at my phone, and I see I get an email. This woman reached out to me. This woman with the most beautiful nest. And I couldn't believe it. She has this impeccable home. And so her and I, we exchange voice notes, and I just feel the kinship. So I hop on my bike, I go to her place. I go on the 3rd floor. And right there, as I'm about to step in, I haven't even put my foot down, I opened a door. And I'm like, wow, this is my home. This is my nest. She welcomes me in, and there's this like oasis of a garden that is beautiful. And she walks me over and she says, Nora, this is such a magical place. You know, it's really strange. There's like no sounds here. For New York City, but she says there's one sound that you hear. She looks up into the sky. Airplanes. And I look up, and there's a plane. Ethiopian Airlines. N is for in-betweener. Y is for yearning to be seen, understood, and validated. C is for community, to belong and to be represented. NYC, New York City. There's something special about New York City. And let's be real, because she's intense. She's real intense. She's kind of chaotic, she's very imperfect, and she's a little smelly. Kind of like me. And she's also beautiful and powerful and like has an ability to hold so much complexity, also kind of like me. And there's something about this place that to me allows all my worlds to coexist. There's a way that all my parts get to be weaved in so beautifully together. New York welcomes in-betweenness. New York has a way of understanding complexity. We live in a world where things are only getting more complicated. Things are only getting more separated, there's more division. And so it can be really hard to actually navigate that. This is why we need in-betweeners. We need people, communities, that actually understand how to move in between these spaces of difficulty and challenge. This is why I believe that we need an in-betweener movement. Will you join me?